What's going on? It is Hugh once again, and today we're going to be discussing a little bit more of a serious topic. We're going to discuss, how to deal with these massive losses, how to deal with massive downswings, and how to deal with all of the kind of shit parts of poker, which unfortunately do happen sometimes. No matter who you are or how good you are at poker, there is going to be a period of time where no matter what you do, you are going to lose money and you are going to go on a downswing. And while going on downswings is a part of the game of poker, these next five tips are going to stop you from losing your entire bankroll. It's going to help you slow down the losses and it's going to help you get back to being a winning player and making sure you get that money coming in. Now, the first tip I want to give is to take a break and understand that taking a break can be a good thing. If you're on a massive losing session or you've had a couple of losing days or you've had a couple of losing months, it's okay, but you do need to take a break now and again to mentally reset. Whether you've had a massive losing session in the morning, it's okay to take a break and come back at night or even take a day off. If you need the week off, feel free to take the week off or take as many weeks as you do need before you feel like you can get back to that good mindset and before you can start actually playing some good poker and not making rush shitty decisions at the table. Now, this is something that I struggle to do with myself, and unfortunately, through trial and error, I have started to develop a learning system where I do understand that this is a vital, vital thing. So please do take my advice. Don't go through the things I've had to go through. Even, last week, I did go through a massive, massive losing day. I ended up losing about 15, 16 buy-ins within the first 2 hours. Absolutely crazy, I know. And guess what? Rather than getting up and just taking the day off or even a couple hours, I continue to play through it. I played for another couple hours, lost heaps more buy-ins, took a 1 hour break, came back, lost another 3 or 4 buy-ins, took another break, came back, another 3 or 4 buy-ins, and I just could not leave. I could not get up. I felt like I had to win it back on that day. And that is exactly how you're going to just burn through your bankroll. At the end of the day, I ended up losing over half of my bankroll within literally the span of 12 hours, and I felt fucking shit. And you know what? As shitty as it sounds, it's a part of life, and that's a part of poker. Maybe not losing the, half your bankroll in one day, but losing. It is a part of poker. It is going to happen. And you know what? If I just got up, took a break, I could have just stopped lost, could have walked away, and I would have saved myself a shit ton of money. And I know a lot of people are going to hear this and, they're going to tell themselves, yep, sure, when I get into that situation, I am going to walk away. But I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the time you do need to go through something like this to be able to really understand the importance of it. I almost think of it like, when your parents, when you were younger, told you, hey, don't hang out with those people or don't go to that party because bad things will happen. And, you're defiant. You tell them, fuck off. I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to hang out with these people. They're my people. They're cool. And, you get into some deep shit or something bad happens and you come home and, they might tell you, oh, I told you so, but you're going to sit there on the edge of your bed, going to have your head in your hands. You're going to feel shitty and depressed and you're going to feel miserable and you're going to feel like an idiot because you knew exactly what the right thing was to do and you went against your own judgment, you went against other people's judgment and you got into those situations. And yes, you should feel shitty, you should feel bad for only a little bit of time though, because you should understand that, hey, you know what? I went through it. I understand that this was, the wrong thing, but now I can learn from this. I understand that, hey, when I get into these situations, I should do this differently next time. So, you know what? Next time you go through a bit of a downswing, or next time you hang out with those people, or whatever it is, you understand, you know what? This is what happened last time. Let's do this thing so we don't go into the same mistakes as last time. All right, cool. So we've taken a bit of a break, we're enjoying our break, or maybe we're just getting a bit bored during our break, but we know we don't want to go back to poker or we don't know how to start getting back into poker. This will lead us to our second tip, and that is to study. Studying is going to be great for a plethora of reasons. The first is obviously the more you study, the better studied you become, the better decision making you're going to make at the table, which is going to lead to making better decisions, which obviously lead to making better money. So it's a massive, upward spiral to why you should study. Not only is it going to make you better in the sense of you're going to understand positions better, you're going to understand decision making better, and you're going to be able to make these decision and plays at the table, but it's going to bring you a new wave of confidence where you feel so confident that, your gut feeling is just going to be perfect, or, you feel confident going into the day knowing, you know what, I've studied this spot that I struggled with, I feel so much more prepared for, which is going to lead to better decision making in the long run. Study can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. I personally would recommend if you've had a massive losing day, after you've taken a bit of a break and you can really analyze the hands at, rational level, is you should look at the hands and what went wrong on that day. Something like my last video where you just record your hands and go through your session, just whether it be through GTO Wizard, you can upload and analyze the hands, or just going through with a friend and understanding like, hey, this is the plays I made in these spots, what do you think? And kind of comparing and contrasting can really be beneficial. And one of two things is going to happen. Either A, you're going to find out, you know what? Even after all of these bad beats were happening, even after, the horrible session I had, I was actually making the right plays. It's going to bring a wave of confidence being like, you know what? I know I can perform under these high stress environments. Even when everything is being thrown in my face, I still make the right decisions. And that should bring you almost a sense of happiness knowing that, hey, in the long run, I am going to make money. I am making these right plays. Or you're going to look through and be like, hang on a second, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. In these situations, I seem to be leaking a whole bunch of money. And in that sense, it should also bring you a new sense of, confidence and happiness, knowing that, hey, these are the leaks that I found. I now know how to plug these leaks. So now when I go into my next session, I know what leaks have been plugged and I know that that's not going to be an issue. And therefore, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make better plays and it's going to lead to good things. The third tip I want to say is to not just purely look at social media. Understand that a lot of the things on social media are, the winners of these amazing fucking multi-$100,000 tournaments. It's these massive, absolutely crazy high stakes plays where they've just worked off perfectly or just the absolute right swing of variance. And it's just always the highlights, and you're never really going to see the low lights of these things. For example, with my life, a lot of people might see like, hang on, he's international, he's playing poker for a living, he's making videos, he must just be absolutely crushing these games and never experience any bad negative downswings. But in reality, over the past couple of weeks, I've been on one of the biggest downswings of my life. I've lost, countless buy-ins. Before, I've almost been six figures in debt, just from playing poker. And unfortunately, that is a grim reality of the game. Is you will be lots of money down at points in your time. I was, like I said, almost $100,000, in the hole. While I was all this money in the hole, people might only look at one or two hands I've had and be like, "Oh, holy fuck, he just won a $10,000 pot," or like, "Oh, holy fuck, he's just won, you know, a massive online winning session." When in reality, I've actually only made back 30% of what I've lost from that day. This point, I want to conjoin to the next thing, which is don't be a victim. Understand that, no one is going to avoid this. Everyone will deal with these downswings. Everyone will deal with these losses. Obviously, it's going to affect us all differently, but you are not alone. Whether or not that's the right thing you want to hear, it's the reality is that you're not the only one going through a downswing. You're not the only victim. Unfortunately, poker is a shitty game, and a lot of people are going to get sucked out on. A lot of people are going to lose money, and it's just going to happen. You just got to be dealing with it. So, this leads me to my fourth tip, and that is to think long term and not short term. When playing poker, we almost don't want to think of each individual session as each individual session. You want to think of every single session you've ever had as one long, massive game of poker. The benefit to this is if you're just looking at a day-to-day basis where you've had like 2 or 3 losing days in a row, you're going to be fucking stressed. You're going to be looking like, oh my God, I'm a horrible player. I'm a shitty player. I'm losing money. Even on like a week to week basis, you might have 2 or 3 losing weeks in a row where you're like, that's it. I've lost all my skill. These people know exactly what to do against me. I'm a shit player. But the minute you sit back and start to draw out those long periods of time and really think of your game as a whole, whether it be like a 6 month period or a year long period, you can really start to appreciate the progress, A, that you've made, and B, the money. I say money as a hopeful. Hopefully, we are all winning players here. But yeah, once you start drawing it out, yeah, you might only make, let's say, over a 6 month period, if you're a beginning player, you might only make $200. But hey, that's $200 more than you've made than 6 months ago. Let's look at the next 6 months. You might go up $1,000 one day, down 2,000, up a couple thousand, and at the end of those next 6 months, you might be up only $900. And yeah, it hurts. You've had days where you've won a couple thousand, you've had days where you've lost a couple thousand. But guess what? The 6 month period before that, you only won $200, and now you've won 900. That's $700 more. So let's look at the next 6 months from there. Might be a couple thousand, and it's just going to keep going up and up. But if you were to shorten that on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis, you might look at it and be like, "Holy fuck, I'm down $4,000 this week. That's horrible." Or you might look at the next week and be like, "Oh, look at that, made $7,000. Going to quit my day job, be a poker professional." When you really need to, slow things down and look at it for the long term and think about the long game of poker. Finally, the fifth point I want to make is to really sit there and think to yourself, why am I playing this game? I see so many people, unfortunately, they kind of get into this mindset where they think poker is the absolute be all and end all, and they just sit there and they just moan about it and they bitch about it, and then you ask them, "So why are you playing?" And they don't know how to respond. Me personally, I just love the game. As shitty as it is, as much as I hate all the variance that comes with it, as much as I hate all the downswings, I love the mathematics behind the game. I love the studying, and I love that it's almost like a puzzle or a riddle, and it really gets my brain working. And I just love that about the game. So that's why I personally play the game. But I know heaps of people who they'll play it just for the social aspect. So they'll only play live poker and they get to talk to people and they get to, share stories and they get to communicate and, build connections with people. I know people that do it obviously purely for the money and they are there just to make a shit ton of money. And if that's what's good for them and why they play it, that's what's good for them and that's why they play it. There are so many aspects of poker that you can play, and you really need to sit there and remind yourself these are the reasons why I'm playing it. And let's say your position on the game is I do need to make a living, I do want to make money. You got to think about, the shitty points and turn them into positives. So, for instance, let's say you've had a massive losing week. You've just lost shit tons of money and you've gone through, you've analyzed it, and you've done everything 100% perfect. Let's look at that situation. So you're sitting there, you're depressed, you're like, wow, this is bullshit. I should be up X amount of money, but instead I'm down this much into the hole. Well, if you put the spin on it and think of it, to another game, let's compare it to chess. If I was to sit there, I'm not the greatest chess player at all, but if I was to sit against Magnus Carlsen or any grandmaster in the world, and let's say we're playing $1,000 a game, it'd probably only take me one or two games before I just truly understand that, hey, I'm never going to win against this guy. He is truly better. I have absolutely zero chance of making money, so I'm just going to stop now. But with poker, I could sit against, Daniel Negreanu, or I could sit against Phil Ivey or any professional in the world. And the first couple games, I might win. I might get real lucky. I might have aces, he might have kings, and I just hold, and therefore I win a whole bunch of money. Or I might just suck out and get, a four outer against him, and then he just has a really good hand where he feels like he has been priced in, and he's called my all in. I make a whole bunch of money. And that's going to lead me to thinking, hang on, I'm better than this guy. I can keep making these plays. I can keep doing these shitty things and getting rewarded. And therefore, I'm a better player than this guy. And yeah, it's going to suck for the other person in the moment. But guess what? Phil Ivey, Daniel Negreanu, they're both so much better players than me. They've, won millions of dollars from this game. I haven't. So they're just going to sit there they're going to deal with it. They're going to understand that, hey, variance was not on their side. But guess what? If we keep playing and we keep playing every single day for years on end, I can guarantee you they will take every single cent that I've earned. But because I'm so delusional and because now and again I have these little hits of dopamine to where I've won and had that variance go my way, I'm going to think I'm a better player and I'm going to continue playing. And that's the beauty of poker is the reason that the game can be played for hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars at a time, is because people can get lucky. And if there was no luck involved, people wouldn't play for these money. All right, so to wrap this video up, we've got 5 tips. First is take a break, understand that it is okay to take a break, take some time off. You do need a mental reset now and again. 2, study. Really sharpen up those skills, build that confidence up. It's going to help in the long run. 3, social media is just the highlights of life, and to understand that you don't need to be a victim. You're not the only one going through this. 4, think about the long term game, not the short term game. And finally, 5, remind yourself why you play the game in the first place. Hopefully, a couple of these tips have helped you. Let me know in the comments if you want to share your stories. Understand that it is okay to be emotional and understand that it is okay to talk about your feelings with all of this stuff. It is a very, very mentally destroying game at times. So I'm always here for a chat. But yeah, see you.